while Travis Head, who's also injured, but he has made the final 15-member squad. Can this Australian team win the World Cup? That's what we'll be discussing on this edition of WION World of Sport Extra. I'm Vidur Kathuria, and I'm joined by my colleague Nikhil Mathur. While we might be joined by our sports editor Digvijay Singh Deo in a short while from now. Nikhil, what do you make of Labuschagne's inclusion?
I think it's a good inclusion. I think he showed some form against India. He scored, 72 of 56 balls. But my only problem is, now they only have one recognized spinner in the squad. It's Adam Zampa. Of course, they have Glenn Maxwell who can roll his arm. But do you think that would be a concern for them? Because you're playing in a subcontinent wicket and you only have one spinner, like a proper spinner in Adam Zampa. So he's a good batter. But in terms of the combination, I think Ashton Agar would have been a better choice, because what if you need two spinners? Of course, Glenn Maxwell is there, but
I think that's what Australia are going for. They're banking on Glenn Maxwell to produce the goods, which can be dangerous, because as you said, Adam Zampa is the only specialist spinner that they have. Yeah. If you look at the Indian squad, the Indian team also initially were just going with one out-and-out spinner. That's Kuldeep Yadav. Obviously, then Ashwin was brought into the squad. So, but the thing about Australia is that they have other bowling options. They have other all-rounders. They have so many all-rounders that can
all pace, but all pace.
Yeah, that can be a concern, because your second spinner, they have Glenn Maxwell, who will be expected to bowl a few
definitely
overs
now
in the middle, and he can go for he is also a wicket taker, as we saw in the ODI series.
Best bowling figures.
But he can go for runs. So it can be tricky for them.
Yeah, I mean, and as you said, they are sticking with Travis Head. He has a fractured arm, if I'm not wrong, and it will take some time to recover. Probably the latter part he'll be available. So I think you see Mitchell Marsh opening with David Warner.
Yeah. Marsh has been
the most informed player in the recent time. I think with all these concerns, they still, for me, I think they will make the semi-finals. That's what I feel, because they bat deep. They are a team who go berserk from the beginning. They don't make a platform and then David Warner probably his last World Cup. Will be his last World Cup. And they have, as you said, they have so many all-rounders. Mitchell Marsh can bowl, Cameron Green, Glenn Maxwell, and so I think they will cover. They have players to cover in all departments. They don't have.
Cummins is also an all-rounder.
Yeah.
So what would be their 11? So Warner and Marsh to open.
Yeah.
3.
Steve Smith at number 3
and number 4 Labuschagne.
Yeah, depending on the pitch, I think they can include Marnus Labuschagne, and then Glenn Maxwell, Marcus Stoinis. Between Marcus Stoinis and Cameron Green, I think one of them will play.
Both are all-rounders.
Yeah.
But
similar role.
I think Green should be given the edge initially. Stoinis has played in India a lot. He's regularly played in the IPL. He can hit those big boundaries. We've seen that.
But I think Cameron Green right now is their first preference, and he did well for Mumbai Indians as well. And what do you think? Then the pace try of Pat Cummins, Josh Hazelwood, and Mitchell Starc. I mean,
it's the World Cup and it's Mitchell Starc.
Mitchell Starc. Back-to-back, I think he was the most leading wicket taker in back-to-back World Cups.
Yeah. So he's, I think Starc, builds himself up for the World Cup. That's what he prepares for. And on their day, if these 3, any of one of them hits peak form, that's a trouble for any opposition. It's on paper, this is the strongest bowling attack at the World Cup.
Pace bowling attack.
Yes, pace bowling attack.
And then Adam Zampa to round it off. So, and see, the problem here, the good part about the Australian team is all of these are match winners. David Warner, if it's his day, he will win you the match. Same with Cameron Green, same with Mitchell Starc, same with Glenn Maxwell. And even if Travis Head gets fit in the later part of the stage,
all of Head has been one of Australia's best players in the white ball format.
In every format, even in Test also, he did so well.
True. Yeah. So as you said, and speaking about Glenn Maxwell as well, the big show. He's not consistent. Everyone knows that. But once he gets going, he can win a match on his own.
Yeah. So a lot of a lot of our viewers also saying, that they don't have the momentum. They have lost their last 2 ODI series. But I would want to bring in a footballing quote that Eric Ten Hag said. He said, I haven't played my best 11 yet. I think that's the case with Australia as well.
And in the 3rd ODI, we saw what happened.
Yeah, when most of the guys are back, we saw they
comprehensive victory, 66-run victory over the host India, who also had a few guys back. Well, it wasn't the full strength team, but still, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma were back. So, and Australia, I mean, they're 5-time world champions, record 5-time world champions, won 3 more World Cups than anyone else.
Yeah.
So, their World Cup pedigree, I mean, there was a time in this 21st century, they have won, what, 2003, 2007, and 2015.
Yeah.
So, definitely one of the 4 semi-finalists. And once they get going, they hit that tournament stride, get that flow in, they are definitely one of the contenders, along with, I would say, India, England, and who's your 4th semi-finalist, Nikhil?
I think there's a tough call between Pakistan. I think New Zealand somehow sneak in.
Yeah.
And probably South Africa, if you see Henry Klaasen and all these guys firing big. I mean, it's difficult to pick that 4th team.
Yeah.
But how important is the opening match for Australia? You know, they have lost the series against India. It's at Chepauk. How important is going to be that match? And what would be a combination? Would you go with?
It's an important match for. I would say more pressure is on India. Host, first match, home World Cup, that trophy drought. They want to set the tone. So more pressure is on India. So Australia will enter the match as slight underdogs. So that will probably work in their favour. And I think, as we saw in the 3rd ODI, they can produce the goods on the day. They have played enough cricket in India, and if they can play the strongest 11, a couple of their injury concerns are there, obviously. If they play the strongest 11, win that first match against India, it sets the tone. Once they get into the stride, they are definitely one of the contenders.
And Pat Cummins, he has just captained Australia in 4 ODIs. Do you think there's a question about his captaincy in the ODI format? He's a great player, great all-rounder, and he showed great mettle as a captain in the Ashes and as well as in the World Test Championship. But is he ready to maneuver the troops in subcontinental conditions?
To be honest with you, Pat Cummins has proven himself to be a great leader for Australia on the pitch and off the pitch as well. I think the way he is as a character, he will take inputs from the leadership group, that is the likes of Steve Smith, David Warner, and I think what's important is that the team backs him. Those senior players that we just spoke about, they also believe in Pat Cummins. And, obviously experience does play a part, but in the red ball format, he's proven to be a capable captain that's winning the Ashes and, of course, the World Test Championship final. And as long as he's playing well, question marks won't be asked of him as a captain. And I don't think till now there is no reason for us to believe that he is not the right man to lead Australia into a World Cup.
Yeah. So I think that, as Vidur said, the first match is going to be very crucial. If whoever wins it, I think will have the momentum, and it's a big match. Hosts versus 5-time champions.
Exactly, and India-Australia anywhere as a pure cricketing contest is something that every cricket fan wants to see, and it's a big match for both teams.
And will they be tempted to play both Marnus and Steve Smith in the middle, because they know India, Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja, and not many of these players are good players of spin.
That's also another concern. I think David Warner plays spin well, but he usually, if he
will he bat righty against Ashwin like he did in that ODI?
But definitely India would back themselves against Marnus Labuschagne, who hasn't played that much white ball cricket in India. And again, so India have the arsenal to trouble Australia. I think it just comes down to what combination India go with on the day maybe Ashwin plays against Australia, right? And as I was reading, in fact, Piyush Chawla was saying that Ashwin might just walk into the 11.
I think against Australia, he has a decent record. He did well against them in the ODI that he played, and he constantly troubled David Warner as well as Steve Smith. So I think, and it's Chepauk, Ashwin's home.
Yeah.
So I think Ashwin would get the nod ahead of Shardul Thakur, and I think he can be the X factor that we keep talking about, especially in that match. Let's see what our audience thinks. Do we have some comments? We have some polls running on our Twitter, Facebook and YouTube page. You can go and vote there. Also send in your comments. What do you think?
Yes, let's see a few comments. Manzi Malunga is watching from Cape Town, South Africa. Thank you very much, Manzi. Please do keep watching us. We'll be covering the World Cup over the next 2 months. And of course, your team, South Africa, who will be previewing very, very soon. So keep keep watching us. Outback Expert says Travis Head is a gutsy bloke, and sometimes that's what you need in cricket. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, most of the Australian team, I would say, is gutsy. They don't, bow down, and that's what you want from your team. Tassie James says selectors must have seen something special in Travis Head to back him. Let's hope he justifies their faith. Yeah, well, he has been producing the goods for a long time now, and I think the only question is, will he be fit? How long will he'll be out? So Australia obviously believe that at some point during the tournament, be it 3 to 4 weeks, he will be fit. Now, for example, let's draw a comparison with India. Akshar Patel is not part of the 15-member squad, although he might be fit in 3 to 4 weeks. But remember, now if anyone wants to sort of include a member,
you need a technical.
You have to right to the ICC, and they have to give clearance.
Yeah, and then a technical committee will sit, and then if they think that the reasons are justifiable, then only. I think Australia have taken a gamble. Yeah. They thought that Travis Head is their best bat. They didn't want any other player to take his spot. They thought the option that were available to replace him were not better than him, and they were ready, and they thought that they had a squad to reach a certain stage in this tournament, maybe reach the knockouts, even the later stage, and then Travis Head could come in because he has been so good. That's why I think they have taken a gamble and they have stuck to.
But I think if Australia reach the semi-finals and if they have a set 11, I think it will be very difficult for Travis Head to displace someone at that point, because of course Travis Head is a very informed player and he's
of course I think
management. But once you get into those semi-finals, do you want to tinker with that 11?
I think the timing is going to be very important. As you said, if he comes just around the semi-final stage, and if Australia have a well-settled playing 11, you're pretty much right. I think it is going to be difficult for him to get into it. But if he gets somewhere, because after the group stage, the Super 8 is it? I think it's going to be a long tournament. So I think they are hoping that he is fit and is able to play some of those matches.
It's true. So another comment we have. Nagarjun, thanks for your comment. Australians thrive under pressure. In ICC tournaments, they always take their game one notch higher. Very, very good point, and very true. Remember, Australia, not just 5-time ODI champions, they won the T20 World Cup in 2021, which was their first T20 trophy. So some of the players have experience of winning white ball ICC trophy.
Yeah, so of course it's nowhere near to the Ricky Ponting or the Steve Waugh team, but they still pack a punch. They can give any team a run for their money. They have match winners. I think they have match winners who single-handedly can take the game away, and that's why if you have 5-6 match winners in your team, I mean, you've got to be one of the favorites in the tournament.
I think recently only I was seeing that the golden generation of Australian cricket, obviously no team can come close to what they had with McGrath, Vaughan, Ponting. I mean, they won 3 back-to-back World Cups. Arguably the greatest side of all time, along with that West Indies side. But this team, a really, really strong side, coming into the World Cup, having won an ICC trophy and having won the World Test Championship. Obviously, I mean, it's a different format completely, but under Pat Cummins, they just won the World Test Championship final. Big game. They can, as Nagarjun said, they thrive under pressure. So Australia, don't sleep on them. We aren't.
Yeah, no, and that's why it reflects on the pedigree, because they have lost 2 back-to-back series, but most of the people that I have spoken to, they are backing them. They are saying that they are going to reach the semi-finals. You won't say that about a lot of other teams who lose ODI series back-to-back, but Australia have that pedigree that you have to back them.
Okay, let's take a look at our polls. Have Australia taken a gamble by sticking with an injured Travis Head? You think yes, don't you?
I think it's a gamble, but it's a gamble that they had to take. That's how I put it.
Yes, 65% think yes, it is a gamble, and 35% think no, he will be fit. Who is going to be the X factor for Australia at the World Cup? Nikhil, who do you think?
X factor, I think, I don't know, I have that feeling about Glenn Maxwell. He is, because in Indian conditions, he reminds me of Yuvraj Singh in what he did in that 2011 World Cup. He will contribute with the bat, and if he comes good with his arm, I think it's going to be the perfect all-rounder that Australia needs at that time.
That's what these X-factor players, they don't need to perform in every match. They just need to perform in that one match which takes the team through to the semi-final or final or whatever. And that is the player that Maxwell is. He can perform on any given day. He can have 5 straight ducks or something like that.
Exactly.
But
And then he'll come and score.
match, he can win the game on his own. So I agree. I think Glenn Maxwell can be Australia's X factor. Okay, can Australia win the World Cup? Okay.
I think they can, but I think in this poll, I don't think audience are still convinced that they can win. I believe in them, but I think the poll is going to be, what, let's say 30-70?
Close. Yes, say 35% say yes, and 64.4% say no. So I'm sticking with my favorites. They have been England for a long time, defending champions, white ball T20 champions, bat deep, very, very strong batting lineup. England, that's why they are my favorites, just over India. And third, I have Australia.
Who's your fourth?
Fourth, I think this is New Zealand. This is the New Zealand's team, the current golden generation, if you want to call them, their last chance. But I think that Pakistan will reach the semi-finals. I think New Zealand will miss out. Okay, is Marnus Labuschagne the right replacement for Australia?
I mean, as I said, if you see the combination, I think they needed a spinner, but they saw who their reserve players are, and then they saw Marnus Labuschagne is a good player of spin.
Yeah.
So I would say yes.
Okay, 66% agree with you, and 33.3% say no.
But poor Ashton, I feel for Ashton Agar. He got injured, and then in India series as well, he was sent back. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Australia, really, really strong side, can beat anyone. Let's hope that we get a good World Cup, and a good World Cup with a strong Australian team is something different. We want them to be at their best so that we get a high quality contest throughout the league stage and of course the semi-finals. Okay, Nikhil, I think we've covered mostly what we wanted to. What's on our show today?
I think the gold rush for India at the Asian Games in shooting continues. 2 gold medals today. I think we had that discussion that as India bounced back from Tokyo debacle. I think all these young kids, the 2 teenagers finishing 1 and 2. I mean, that's a really, really good performance.
Very, very strong outing for our shooting contingent at the Asian Games. We have a very, very special interview lined up for you just ahead of the World Cup with arguably the greatest spinner of all time.
Shane Warne.
Okay,
Rival.
Muthaiya Muralitharan, Sri Lankan legend, one of the goats of the game, will be talking about his movie that is coming out in just a short while from now.
What's the title? How many wickets?
800. And of course, he'll be looking ahead to the World Cup for Sri Lanka and generally as well. So definitely do catch that. And of course, we have, what else do we have?
Samuel Eto'o.
Yes.
He's the president of the Cameroon Football Federation now, and he's been accused of match fixing. Some audio recording with him and a president of another club has gone viral, and police is investigating those claims. So some serious charges there.
Yes, very much so, and he's one of the greats of African football. So concerning times for them. So all that and much more on our show WION World of Sport, 6:30 p.m. India. See you there.